everyone. Welcome to our Historic Preservation Month webinar. We are joined today by Megan from the Alliance for Historic Wyoming, and they have been coordinating, and she'll tell you more, but Historic Preservation Month for the last while. And so she's going to tell you all about what they do, the opportunities that we have, and some ideas to inspire you for Historic Preservation Month. Take it away, Megan.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and share with everyone about our Historic Preservation Month program and how we can get more people involved in our Historic Preservation Month celebration. So I'm going to start off introducing you to the Alliance. Some folks don't know who we are. We're the only statewide nonprofit dedicated to historic preservation in built and natural environments. So we are specific to building and landscape preservation, and our mission is working with communities statewide. The Alliance for Historic Wyoming advocates for the preservation of Wyoming's historic places and spaces. So Historic Preservation Month started in 1973 by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, and in the first presidential proclamation, I think that this really explains how Historic Preservation Month is meant to be interpreted. So as the pace of change accelerates in the world around us, Americans more than ever need a lively awareness of our roots and origins in the past on which to base our sense of identity in the present and our directions for the future. I think this still really resonates even since 1973, that we really want to identify in our communities how preservation is a positive influence on our identity, our traditions, and how we see the past into the future. So in Wyoming, we've celebrated Historic Preservation Month a little differently over the years. In 2008, Wyoming SHPO started creating these Historic Preservation Month posters, and I can let Katie talk a little bit about that.
Thanks. Yes, these are posters that we used to be able to make. It's now a budgetary issue, unfortunately. But if you're interested in Historic Preservation Month posters in the future, do let us know. It's always good to hear from folks. They kind of walk in step with our Archaeology Month posters, and those have been lauded, awarded all throughout their creation. And so I believe we used to produce both. Unfortunately, today, again, not currently in production, but that's another place where the Alliance has helped step in as far as promotion goes. Personally, I am hoping that we can bring back the posters at some point because I love featuring our historic sites and places and giving people a way to show that. So yes, thank you.
So the Alliance, we've coordinated the statewide celebration since 2019, and it's evolved over the years. I mean, we had COVID in the middle there where everything went all virtual, where we would have webinar Wednesdays talking about historic preservation projects. And now it's transitioned into a really big awareness campaign. We actually create a branding guidelines. We always have a theme. Last year it was Preservation is Progress, Preservation is Persistence was 2024. And this year our theme is Timeless Places, Enduring Spaces. And this year we're doing a pretty mid-century branding, and we'll have Mid-Mod Mondays, and I'll talk a little bit more about that a little later on. But really what we're trying to do is get clear, consistent messaging across the state. So we want to have as many organizations have this same clear message when they're doing Historic Preservation Month programming, events, things like that. So what we do is we work with media partners to promote the celebration. So we purchase advertising space to send people to our website. And on our website, you can find our calendar of events. Our daily social media posts get imported in. And we also celebrate historic preservationists through our Humstone Preservation Awards, and we coordinate the statewide governor's proclamation. We're also here to help share your content. So if you tag us in a post, we're able to repost that and share it with our statewide audience. We also create a merch shop, and that will go live today as well. So what we really need is participation. That's the big part in this. We wouldn't be able to have Historic Preservation Month without our local community partners who are putting on events, hosting the celebrations. And I really want to let you know, participating in Historic Preservation Month is free. There's no charge to you. We actually go and get sponsors for our celebration and are able to promote your events through their support. We just really need to know what you're doing, what you're planning, what events are you already hosting. So we have a way for you to let us know what you're doing. So now I want to go into some ideas of events that you can host in your community. This is going to go through different types of events and show you some pictures of some successful events from the past. So tours, that's a really big one. People have had open houses, cemetery tours, guided downtown walking tours. We've worked in the past with travel stories to have driving tours that highlight historic routes. We also really want to invite people to host family-friendly events. So hands-on history, we've had drawing contests or coloring contests where a local historic preservation board would select a historic building and work with the local schools to get kids involved. We've had tea parties. We're really excited that during May, we have a great opportunity. We have Cinco de Mayo, Mother's Day, graduation is in there, Memorial Day is in there. So there's a lot of space where people are already celebrating during the month. And if we can get them celebrating at historic sites, that's one added layer to getting people more aware of historic preservation and its positive effects in their communities. We also have sites that host field trips. It's the end of the school year, so folks are trying to get their kids out to sites. They're getting a little antsy being locked away in their schoolrooms, so getting them out to historic sites is another great way to help celebrate Historic Preservation Month. Here's a great example of a scavenger hunt that the Rock Springs CLG as well as Rock Springs Main Street put together, and they change out the architectural features every year, but you can go around, identify where all of these architectural features are at, and then bring it back to their office and you get a prize. And that's just one really interactive way to get people involved in Historic Preservation Month. Engagement, we have preservation workshops, preservation trainings, people do cleanup days, engagement sessions. So if you want to get feedback from your community on preservation projects or things that you want to get involved with, we also encourage folks to have lectures or talks about historic places during Preservation Month. So we know a lot of local historical societies, they'll have monthly history talks. We strongly encourage historical societies to maybe have a talk focused on a historic building in their community just during the month of May. So here's a great example of an award ceremony, open house style event. This was 2 years ago, Leclerc Jones Award from
Yeah.
Cheyenne Historic Preservation Board.
And I'll chime in just a little bit
Yeah.
to fill in about it. So they have two different awards. This one is their Leclerc Jones Award, and it is for non-residential properties. So that includes things like businesses, social organizations, churches, public buildings. And it recognizes exceptional historic preservation efforts through restoration and maintenance of the structure. And then they have some qualifiers for that. Cheyenne also puts forward the Du Bois Award for significant preservation efforts on residential properties. And they will post about this on Facebook and invite people to attend. And so they've managed to make a very good community event out of it and celebrate both residential and non-residential accomplishments in their community in historic preservation.
Some really fun ideas that groups have done in the past is a historic bar crawl. So this could either be going to historic buildings and having drinks, or going to historic bars and working with those bars. So bringing in the local businesses that that are in your historic downtowns. We also have documentary screenings in historic theaters, or documentaries about preservation projects in a modern theater is totally acceptable too. We've already talked about the historic downtown scavenger hunts, and then also bringing in small businesses, local restaurant throwback menus. That's also been a really good way to get beyond the preservation community and just have something on the menu throughout the month of May saying, hey, like, here's a nod to our history and our historic places and spaces. So here's a great example, a great turnout at the Parco Sinclair Theater, I think 2 years ago, and we did a screening of the Lincoln Highway documentary. So working with multiple partners there, with Wyoming PBS and Sinclair and the Lincoln Highway Association, and had such a great event, being able to watch a documentary about a historic resource in our state. Other ways to celebrate is local proclamation signings. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Starting a local award program. We can see that Cheyenne has done a pretty great job of recognizing historic building owners, property owners, hosting a photography contest. I know a lot of historic sites and museums open during May in Wyoming. So if your site is opening or has like your season transitioning into summer hours, we'll definitely put your opening day on our calendar. We've also had ribbon cuttings in the past. So really, like, celebrating the positive aspects of historic preservation is what we're looking for Historic Preservation Month events. So here's a great picture a couple of years ago. The Sunrise Historic Preservation, or Historic and Prehistoric Preservation Society, hosted a ribbon cutting in Lingle and invited dignitaries, local dignitaries, national dignitaries, and unveiled new interpretive signage at the rest area in Lingle. Online, so this is another way that we can help support with your Preservation Month celebrations. So You can have a social media series where you highlight like National Register sites or your local buildings that are historic. Uh, you can have webinars, follower engagement contests, and we have a brand kit that you can use in social media series that I will show you in a minute. So here's some examples. A couple of years ago, we hosted a webinar with HistoricCorps talking about a project where they were working with the BLM to restore a property here in Wyoming. And then on the national level, the Advisory Council for Historic Preservation has been doing some really great webinars recently. And so one of them is going to be during Historic Preservation Month, and we'll be highlighting that too. So I've mentioned it before. We have a brand kit, and you can use these assets. You can use our Historic Preservation Month logo. We're going to have Sneak Peek Sunday, Mid-Century Monday, Trail Tuesday, Watch List Wednesday, Throwback Thursday, Fossil Friday, and Success Saturday. And we have these great little assets that you can use on your social media post. You can add them to flyers. We really want to have consistent messaging across the board. So if you're creating a flyer for an event that you're hosting in May, please feel free to use our Historic Preservation Month logo. And then local proclamations. So we have a template for you to use to request a proclamation from your local community. You'll have to plug in your community name and some preservation details that set your community out from everyone else. So you can say, oh, we have this amazing historic site, or you could reach out to SHPO and ask, like, how many buildings do we have in our county or in our city that are on the National Register of Historic Places? And that really helps people understand, like, oh, there's more than just this one site that we're known for. There's actually an entire district in our town, or there's an entire downtown district with historic buildings, commercial buildings. So we can help you with that. We have a template. It's going to be in our brand kit. So we'll have the assets, social media assets that you can use, and also the preservation proclamation template. And then add your event to our calendar. This is something that we've been trying to boost for the past few years, is getting folks to submit their events to be on our calendar. And so this is a way for people to see your event, get a little bit more information. So on our website, on our Historic Preservation Month page, you'll be able to fill out a form, and we'll put it onto our calendar. This year, we're also going to bring back our map. So if someone's looking for an event specific to their community, they can just click on the map and it'll pull up information about the event. So please submit your flyers. You can tell us date, time, location, and we will get it on our calendar and to our statewide audience. We'll also be sharing your events every week in our e-newsletters. So we send that out to our subscribers every week during the month of May. So if you're not subscribed to our e-newsletter, you can go to our website, and if you've never been to it before, a form will pop up and you can sign up there, or you can just send me an email. My contact information is going to be at the end of this. So reach out to me, get on our list, and definitely submit your events to our calendar. This is the best way for us to be able to know what events are happening and promote it to our audience. And last but not least, please, please, please invite us to your events. If I can't make it, we have a group of volunteers who we can hopefully have a representative of the Alliance at your event. I'd love to come to your events, say a few words, and just recognize you for actually hosting an event and the positive impacts of preservation. So please, please, please invite us. And thank you so much for having me and listening to me talk about Historic Preservation Month. I'm happy to answer any questions, and please visit our website, get in touch, and yeah, let's host some amazing events in May.
Thank you so much, Megan. She really does an amazing job helping to coordinate and host Historic Preservation Month throughout the state. Without her, it wouldn't be nearly as exciting as it is. But again, we need you guys' support because it's the local communities that really, really drive it.